so much. Welcome back to the Christian View, where we're discussing choices, short-term choices, long-term choices. Cameron, you know, we asked, is a choice the same thing as making a decision? Something as simple as, should I have that dessert or should I work out? Well, yeah, if I have the dessert, I'm going to have to work out. But then there are things like, should I buy that house? Should I marry him? That affect us long-term.
Right.
But it's also those little things that we decide every single day that's going to affect us long-term too.
Yes. Correct. I mean, you can't help but be affected long-term in any choice, any decision that you make. So long-term has to be your goal. You can't start and say, well, you know, it's a short-term thing. Nothing is short-term because it's going to take you to the rest of your life. Yeah. But, you know, when you take a look at choices and decisions, you almost have, they're synonymous, but at the same time, a decision is basically a choice from which you will not turn back. But choices are kind of an everyday process of things that you may make. You may make a decision, I'm going to marry this person. But from that point on, the choices of how that marriage goes on a regular basis.
And that's
so it's kind of it's the same, but it's kind of different.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about long-term perspectives too, you look at life, there are only about half a dozen things that affect you that much of a long term. And some of them we talk about from the eternal perspective, and we'll get into that. But you're talking about who's going to be your Lord. You don't have a choice as to whether you're going to have one. You have to choose which one you want. You don't really have a choice on that. You have who you marry is crucial. It changes the trajectory of your life. So that's a long-term thing. When you talk about where you go to church, that is where you're supposed to be perfected. So you have to be sure that you're in the right joint.
Right.
You know, so all those kind of things. Well, you know, making sure that you have a financial plan very young in life. If not, it's going to affect your total picture. How and what you eat. All those things are things that affect your long-term perspective as to who you are.
Let's go back to what you eat. Really, that one is so important.
Oh, it
is. Because, I mean, there's chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Oh, God, there's chocolate cake.
And you can make a choice.
There's broccoli.
Well, you can make a choice to eat chocolate cake every once in a while, but you must make a decision to eat healthy.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's why, again, why we need to be filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
We need to be Spirit-led. We need to be led by Him because He cares about the little decisions and He cares about...
Does He care about the broccoli and the chocolate?
Yes, He does. Because He
says
says choose blessing or curses, life or death. And whatever we're taking into our body can be death. You know, if you eat chocolate cake every day,
so
it's
can we
killing you.
surmise it that a decision then is based on the choice that we made, or the decision is the end result of the choice that we make? So therefore, when we're making choices in life, then that ultimately determines our decision. So the good part about it is, to me, you can always make another decision or choice to change.
Yes.
So if you make a bad choice, you're not stuck
cake,
there.
and I said, I'm not going to do it again.
Well, the next time you eat a smaller piece.
But it's kind of like the deal. You know, you can choose. You can decide to eat healthy. But in the process of eating healthy, you might make a choice that day to eat chocolate cake. Yeah. But that's an ongoing thing. But the decision to eat healthy should never change.
Should never change. And I talk to people a lot about health and wellness and have a cheat day. So once a month, I'm going to eat a piece of chocolate cake. Well,
it's a mind
you're
game,
not going to eat. It is a mind game. You decide. But have a piece of chocolate cake, because sometimes when we starve ourselves so much from something, that's when we eat the whole cake.
That's right.
But if we eat a slice of cake. Right, and so just moderation, taking care of your temple in moderation, the broccoli.
But you got to have the Lord's help.
You have to.
Giving you the power, because it's too much. It's just too overwhelming. You've got to have the Lord's help, you know.
And I kind of had a vision when you were talking of this person going through the desert. It was like a mucky desert, and with a bucket, and it was drips of water that filled up the bucket, and the drips of water were the bad decisions this person had made along their life. And they came to this ravine, and they had to decide if they were how they were going to get over the ravine with these burdens of these bad decisions. And the Lord just showed me, pour out that bucket. Right. Make new choices. Your buckets will be emptied, and I'll take you across to the other side.
It's like that joke. It's like that joke that says, "I wish I could go back in time and punch myself in the face."
Oh my God.
And sometimes you feel that way.
What's funny about that, you know, Jackie Arnold and I were talking about this because, you know, if anybody ever wants to write a book, man, please see Jackie Arnold. But the bottom line, we were talking about this because I had just finished writing a book on making choices because one of my children asked me, what would you do differently? And so it really made me think, and I went back and really wrote a perspective, because because I realized that I have to leave him a legacy of understanding how to make good choices. And so
Legacy is a good
all
word.
of that is part of what we're talking about here. You know, you have to, if we were able to go back, there are things that we would do differently.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have to leave those choices behind for our
Well,
children.
I think what people are faced with now is that people are faced with the array of how do I make a good choice? And I think that, as we stated earlier, so many times in life, people are faced with, and our younger people especially, have so many choices available to
Right.
them. And in psychology, you know, they have actually this term or this condition which they call decision fatigue, where,
Yes.
you know, you can have so many options in front of you
Yeah.
that it gets exhausting,
Right.
and then people make bad choices.
That's why you cast your care on
I also
him.
think people make bad choices because they don't feel worthy enough to.
Yes.
I'm working with a young girl now who gave her baby up for adoption, and she's regretting that decision day in and day out. And I tell her, I'm like, you can start making great choices now that will benefit your daughter long term when you get to see her. Or you can
Or just continue
continue
on.
making the bad choices, and then what legacy are you leaving your daughter when you finally get to meet her?
God redeems the time.
Right.
He
Right.
Yes, he
redeems.
does.
He restores the years the locust and the cankerworm have stolen from us. You know, the
And we
things
need
in
to
our
not get
life
caught
that
up
we
in
wish.
Perfectionism. He does redeem it,
Yeah.
but sometimes we don't make a decision because we feel like it has to be perfect. But just like the GPS will give us 2 or 3 tracks to get where we want, we just making good decisions. And God will love us no matter what choice we make. He gives us that free choice, but we just have to make sure it's against that filter so that we're walking in His ways.
That's right. Well, stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to discuss eternal choices. There are only 2. We'll be right back.